Hello everyone, and welcome to RadioCSIRT English Edition, your daily appointment with cybersecurity news. I'm Mark Frederick Gomez, your French cybersecurity voice for today's threat landscape. I hope you're doing well. Today is Thursday, December 18th, 2025, episode 53, recording from Valence in France. Today's briefing covers a convergence of active exploitation, large-scale fraud, and state-linked cyber operations. The Clop ransomware group is conducting data theft extortion against Internet-exposed Gladinet CentreStack servers using an as-yet unidentified attack vector. CISA has added 3 actively exploited vulnerabilities to the KEV catalog, impacting Cisco products, SonicWall SMA1000 appliances, and ASUS Live Update, confirming their operational use by threat actors. CERT-FR warns of multiple Google Chrome vulnerabilities exposing user endpoints to web-based compromise scenarios. A critical FreeBSD flaw, CVE 2025-14558, enables remote code execution via crafted IPv6 router advertisements on adjacent networks. North Korean actors reached a record level of cryptocurrency theft in 2025, exceeding $2 billion through attacks on centralized services, personal wallets, and human infiltration operations. Finally, a Eurojust-supported operation dismantled fraudulent call centers in Ukraine, highlighting the continued industrialization of social engineering-driven financial crime across Europe. The Clop ransomware gang is currently executing a large-scale data theft campaign targeting Internet-exposed Gladinet CentreStack and TrioFox instances. The threat actors are weaponizing a critical vulnerability chain, primarily leveraging CVE 2025-11371 and unauthenticated local file inclusion LFI flaw to extract sensitive web.config files. This exposure reveals hard-coded machine keys, enabling subsequent view state deserialization attacks tracked as CVE 2025-30406 to achieve remote code execution, RCE. Threat intelligence reports from Curated Intelligence identify over 200 unique IP addresses as potential targets in this ongoing extortion wave. This campaign mirrors Clop's previous high-profile exploitations of MoveIt and Oracle EBS via CVE 2025-61882, focusing on stealthy data exfiltration rather than immediate encryption. CISA has added these vulnerabilities to the KAV catalog, reflecting their active exploitation in the wild. Administrators are urged to update to version 16.12.1042 0.56791 immediately to ensure unique cryptographic keys are generated. In cases where patching is delayed, manual rotation of machine keys and restricting access to the upload-download proxy endpoints are critical mitigation steps to prevent server takeover and unauthorized data access. CISA agency has added 3 actively exploited vulnerabilities to the Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog based on confirmed evidence of in-the-wild exploitation. The first, CVE 2025-20393, is an improper input validation vulnerability affecting multiple Cisco products, enabling remote attackers to trigger unexpected system behavior that may lead to broader compromise depending on exposure and privilege context. The second, CVE 2025-40602, impacts SonicWall SMA1000 appliances and stems from a missing authorization control, allowing unauthorized access to sensitive functions and directly affecting remote access infrastructure. The third, CVE 2025-59374, affects ASUS Live Update and involves embedded malicious code within the update mechanism, effectively weaponizing the software supply chain as an initial access vector. CERT-FR has issued an advisory regarding multiple vulnerabilities affecting Google Chrome based on the security bulletin released by the vendor on December 16, 2025. Affected versions include Chrome, prior to 143.0.7499.146 on Linux, and versions prior to 143.0.7499.146 and 143.0.7499.147 on Windows and Mac OS. The identified issues include CVE 2025-14765 and CVE 2025-14766. Google has not disclosed detailed technical information, describing the impact only as unspecified security issues. The lack of technical disclosure limits precise assessment of exploitation paths. However, based on Chrome's historical vulnerability patterns, these flaws are likely related to memory corruption, object lifecycle mismanagement, or weaknesses within the rendering or JavaScript engines. Such conditions commonly enable arbitrary code execution, sandbox escape, or sensitive data exposure through crafted web content. Exploitation typically follows a drive-by model, requiring minimal user interaction beyond browsing a malicious or compromised website. Operational impact primarily affects Internet-exposed endpoints, increasing the risk of initial access, lateral movement, and data exfiltration within enterprise environments. Mitigation relies solely on the immediate deployment of vendor-provided patches, updating all affected systems to the fixed stable channel versions released by Google. A critical vulnerability has been disclosed in FreeBSD, tracked as CVE 2025-14558, enabling remote code execution under specific network conditions. The issue affects the handling of router advertisement packets used by the IPv6 stateless address auto-configuration mechanism, SLAAC. When a FreeBSD host joins an IPv6 network, it sends a router solicitation message and receives a router advertisement containing network configuration parameters. Two FreeBSD components responsible for processing these RA messages fail to properly validate the received content. The RA fields are passed unfiltered to an internal shell script, creating a direct command injection path. Exploitation requires the attacker to be located on the same network segment as the target, consistent with an adjacent network attack scenario. By sending a crafted RA packet, an attacker can trigger arbitrary command execution on the victim system, potentially leading to full system compromise. Tenable assessed the vulnerability with a CVSS score of 9.8, reflecting the severity of unauthenticated remote code execution. Very important systems not using IPv6 or configured to reject router advertisements are not impacted. Security updates have been released by the FreeBSD project to correct input validation and remove this attack vector. North Korean cryptocurrency theft operations reached an unprecedented level in 2025, with more than $2 billion stolen over the year. According to Chainalysis Analysis, this represents a 51% year-on-year increase and accounts for 76% of all service compromises observed globally. A major contributing factor was the February attack against the Bybit exchange, which resulted in the theft of approximately $1.5 billion in digital assets, marking one of the largest crypto heists ever recorded. The data also highlights a significant shift in TTPs, with a strong pivot toward personal wallets, now representing 44% of the total value stolen, compared to just over 7% in 2022. Approximately 158,000 wallet attacks were recorded, impacting around 80,000 unique victims, primarily through private key compromise and targeted social engineering campaigns, including those affecting Solana-linked wallets. In parallel, DPRK-affiliated actors expanded human infiltration operations, posing as recruiters or strategic investors to gain internal access, steal credentials and source code, and map access paths into high-value infrastructure. This combination of high-impact operations and a reduced number of detected attacks suggests increased operational efficiency and an enhanced capability to conduct targeted, large-scale crypto theft campaigns. Information sharing remains a critical factor in cyber incident prevention and response, including at the communications layer. Activities within First Foundation and the emergence of focus groups, such as the Communication SIG and Comms Lens, highlight a growing recognition of communications as an operational discipline during crises. Observed practices emphasize real-world experience, particularly the systematic use of secure alternative communication channels to maintain coordination when primary infrastructure is degraded or unavailable. In major incidents, these channels effectively become critical assets alongside technical systems. Findings also underline the value of structured third-party coordination. In some national contexts, centralized entities act as coordination hubs between victim organizations, authorities, and regulators, Reducing operational overhead and minimizing the risk of errors in mandatory notifications, this capability functions as a force multiplier during early response phases. Additionally, controlled delegation of public communications emerges as a risk reduction mechanism. Allowing trusted authorities or partners to address high-level incident context, limits speculation, reduces misinformation, and preserves responder focus on investigation and remediation activities. These patterns reinforce that communications are not peripheral, but embedded within the attack surface and the overall incident response chain. And that's it. This episode ends. I hope it will provide you with clear and useful information. Until then, we don't think, we patch. If you are a new listener, feel free to subscribe to the RadioCSIRT podcast. We are available in both English and French on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, and Spotify. All open source intelligence links used in this episode are available on RadioCSIRT.com. See you tomorrow for a new episode. Take care. Goodbye from France.